Take a look at the video on your screens right now. This is the moment the airliner and the military helicopter crashed into each other. Right now, both the Federal Aviation Administration and the National Transportation Safety Board are investigating this crash.
We are now learning figure skating athletes were among those on board the passenger flight that collided mid-air with a military helicopter right near Reagan Airport. Now, U.S. Figure Skating released a statement confirming that several members of their skating community were on board that American Airlines Flight 5342. According to the statement, the athletes, coaches, and family members were returning home from the National Development Camp held in conjunction with the U.S. Figure Skating Championships in Wichita, Kansas. The statement went on to say the organization is devastated by this unspeakable tragedy. The flight was carrying 60 passengers and 4 crew members. There were 3 people on board the helicopter.
We are in team coverage this morning with 11 News anchor Sean Stryker at BWI Airport, tracking how flights will be impacted this morning.
But first, we start with 11 News reporter Jennifer Franciotti, who's live at the scene in the Arlington area where last night's crash happened. Jen, we've heard from some officials every hour since about midnight last night. What is the newest information we know right now?
Well, the latest is, unfortunately, they have recovered bodies. Upwards of 19 bodies have been pulled from the Potomac River, but this is not without hope that they could still find survivors. I'm going to set up the scene here to tell you where we are. We're at Gravelly Point Park, which is right across from the Potomac. As I step out of the way, this is the George Washington Parkway. We're on the southbound side. The northbound traffic would be then heading away from you toward the left portion of your screen. And across the Potomac River there, you see the emergency responder vehicles. What you're not able to see is the water from our vantage point. We see helicopters in the air, and then to the right portion of your screen where you see white bright lights, that's Reagan National. It's basically where the plane and the helicopter went down in the river, is within spitting distance of the runway. That's how close this was. And as you watch the video of the plane coming in, you could see it was at a very low altitude as it was coming in toward the runway, and then you see that Black Hawk helicopter basically just collide right into it, and you see that explosion in the air and then the debris falling into the river below. So this all unfolded around 9 o'clock last night, and that's when that flight from Wichita 5342, the American Eagle regional passenger plane, was flying here, and it involved this collision with the military Black Hawk helicopter, which according to the Army was involved in a training exercise. Now, as for how many people on board, we're told the number there is 64, 60 passengers and 4 crew members on the plane, and the Army says 3 soldiers were on board that military Black Hawk helicopter. This is a full-out search and rescue operation. It is dangerous, and according to Chief John Donnelly with Washington Fire and EMS, it is also very challenging.
The challenges are access. The water that we're operating in is about 8 feet deep. There is wind, there is pieces of ice out there, so it's just dangerous and hard to work in. And because there's not a lot of lights, you're out there searching every square inch of space to see if you can find anybody. Divers are doing the same thing in the water. The water is dark, it is murky, and that is a very tough condition for them to dive in.
And of course, the concern is the water is also very cold, about 35 degrees. Now, Maryland State Police has sent their underwater recovery team to assist the Metropolitan Police. And according to Governor Moore, who posted overnight on X, he says that the Maryland Emergency Management Operation has gone ahead and enhanced their status at their operations center. And we also know that DNR police are on the scene as well. We've heard earlier from Sean Stryker, who's out at BWI, there's no operational restrictions there because at Reagan National, the airport has been closed until at least 11 o'clock this morning, but they have been very clear in saying this is a fluid situation and that is something that could absolutely be extended if necessary. I can tell you from experience, if you are driving down in this area, this is not a spectator sport by any means. You cannot get close to the scene and you cannot get access to Reagan National at all. They have everywhere blocked off at this moment. So this is a situation where it is all hands on deck for emergency responders. You see those bright flashing lights across the Potomac River there as they are still trying to be very, very hopeful that they will pull a survivor from the river. That is not without precedent. That is because back in 1982, Flight 90 crashed into the 14th Street Bridge and went right into the water. It was an Air Florida flight. bound for Florida. It was leaving then Washington National Airport before it was renamed Reagan. And it was a horrible situation there. It was in January as well. That flight, though, went into the water at 4 in the afternoon. 79 people were on board, 75 passengers and 4 crew members, and there were 5 survivors. So that's why still at this hour, there is still some hope here that they will be able to pull someone alive out of this water. So still a search and rescue, although unfortunately, upwards of 19 bodies have been recovered. Reporting live here along the Parkway in Arlington, Jen Franciotti.